Hey everyone, ChronoPinoyX here once again, back with another video for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at some of the new monsters within Monster Hunter World Iceborne and see whether or not they have any potential to become a subspecies or a variant. The idea behind this video is to basically just create some form of concept behind some of these new monsters that arrived in Iceborne that didn't get a subspecies or variant, and see whether or not we can see any of these variations being a potential when it comes to future DLC updates within Iceborne itself or even in future Monster Hunter games. So the idea here is to simply create a potential concept for any of these new monsters that didn't get a subspecies or variant within Iceborne or in future games. Now if you enjoyed these videos, please consider leaving a like on the video itself and subscribing to the channel so you can go ahead and catch up on any other content that I might be doing in future. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some potential subspecies and variants for these new monsters within Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Now before we get started, we're going to be taking a look at the 4 monsters that we have gotten in Monster Hunter World Iceborne that are completely new, which are Baitos, Bombur, Velkhana, and Namiel. When it comes to the other 2 monsters that are new to the series, which are Chara Ishbal and Safi Jiva, I'll explain a little bit later on near the end of the video what I have in terms of ideas for these 2 monsters. But other than that, the main concept here is to create potential subspecies or variants for the first 4 monsters that I have listed in this video. Kicking things off, we have ourselves the Baitos of Hoarfrost Reach, the piscine wyvern first introduced in Iceborne. Now, for this particular monster, I'm not really seeing any potential for a variant at this point, simply because this is a monster that swims across a specific locale. However, I am seeing a potential subspecies. For this particular case scenario, I'm thinking of a Baitos that swims under sand. Whenever I see the Baitos itself in Hoarfrost Reach, I keep getting reminded of a piscine wyvern in previous generation games that swims under the sand, and I always keep thinking, maybe Baitos can have a subspecies that's similar to this. The monster I'm talking about, by the way, is none other than the Cephadrome itself, as well as its smaller versions, the Cephalos. So for Baitos itself, I'm thinking if you actually change the locale of this particular creature from Hoarfrost Reach into the Wildspire Waste, and change the coloration a bit to match the actual sandy area of Hoarfrost Reach, so rather than the blue coloration, it'll have a brown tint instead, then you could potentially have yourself a Baitos subspecies. In terms of attack patterns, I'm thinking something along the lines of rapid diving towards you. So, you know how Baitos dives towards you once and then that's pretty much it? I'm thinking of that attack pattern, but Baitos does it in rapid succession. It dolphin dives towards you once and then follows it up again in another direction and follows it up again in another direction. Something along those lines. That would make the Baitos a very unique fight in Iceborne itself, because now you're not just having to look out for the one dive, you have to look out for the multiple version of the dive attack itself. So something along those lines. In terms of a name, I'm thinking Sandswept Baitos might be a nice name for it, but anyone is welcome to create suggestions for these particular names for these particular subspecies or variant monsters that I'm conceptualizing here. Feel free to give us a name. Next up, we have the Banbaro itself, a brute wyvern introduced in Hoarfrost Reach, but can actually invade other locales within the new world itself. For the Banbaro, I'm thinking more variant monster rather than subspecies, because in terms of its capabilities as of right now, it can change element depending on the locale it's in, so a subspecies would be rather redundant. However, when it comes to a variant Banbaro, I can definitely see a Banbaro where the antlers are completely misshapen in comparison to a standard one due to overusage of rock attacks. So this Banbaro variant instead has to rely on its antlers to attack the hunters. This particular variant instead will bombard you with physical attacks of its entire body using the weight of its antlers to smash you down rather than using rocks in order to attack you. Now it can still use 1 or 2 attack patterns relying on the rocks, but as soon as it uses it, the rock breaks and that's pretty much it. So the idea here is a Banbaro that's more physical in terms of using its whole body rather than the standard Banbaro that relies mostly on rocks and boulders to bombard you. Now because the antlers are misshapen, they look rough due to overusage, I'm thinking something along the lines of a name for this Banbaro, which is the Rough Cast Banbaro. Again, feel free to suggest any other names for these potential variants and subspecies in the comments below, but I definitely think a Rough Cast Banbaro is a potential variant in Iceborne or even in future installments of the game itself. Next up on this list, we have the two elder dragons of Iceborne, which are Velkhana and Namiel. Now, when it comes to these two monsters, let's take a look at Velkhana first, because Velkhana is the flagship. When it comes to the flagship itself, I think Velkhana is one of the most awesomely designed monsters in Iceborne as of right now, due to the amount of awesome special effects that you get when you actually fight this monster. In terms of this creature, I can see up to 4 potential subspecies for this monster if you alter the element from ice into any of the other elements. So if you change it to fire, water, thunder and lightning, and dragon, you can pretty much have up to 4 subspecies of this particular monster. All Capcom has to do at this point is basically alter these special effects so that they don't match ice anymore. They instead match the 4 elements that could potentially come up for a Velkhana subspecies. So in this particular case scenario, take a pick as to which element you would like to see a Velkhana have as a potential subspecies. In my personal opinion, I think a fire Velkhana would look really awesome in my personal opinion. It'll probably look something like a phoenix in terms of its overall coloration. And honestly, I like the thought of seeing something along the lines of a Flame Wrath Velkhana in Monster Hunter World Iceborne or in future installments of the game. Following the Iceborne Dragon, we now have the Abyssal Dragon, the Namiel itself. In terms of the Namiel, you can potentially have a subspecies or a variant depending on your personal taste. If you don't like seeing a dragon that looks like a marine creature spitting out fire at you or the dragon element at you, then a variant Namiel is pretty much the choice here. When it comes to a variant Namiel, the main focus of this monster is going to be lightning attacks. Because the standard Namiel already has lightning capabilities but mostly focuses on water, you now have to alter the situation so that it's doing the exact opposite in order to create a variant. Maybe it's running out of water or something like that, I don't know. The Namiel does run out of water every now and then, so it instead relies on its lightning capabilities. And for the most part, that is a Namiel variant. Maybe alter the colorations of the neon lights so that it's not going up into that kind of reddish hue or something like that. Maybe something more along the lines of a blue hue would be preferable for a Namiel variant. In terms of subspecies, if you don't mind seeing the Namiel spit out fire or dragon element at you, or even ice element at you, then you can have a subspecies of Namiel itself. In terms of coloration, you have to alter the Namiel's overall coloration completely in order to get yourself this particular subspecies. Much like that of Velkhana, depending on the situation, Capcom will need to alter the elemental effects of this particular monster in order to make it into a true subspecies. So overall for Namiel, you can pick either a subspecies or a variant depending on your personal taste. Finally, we have ourselves the 2 final bosses of Iceborne itself, which is Chara Ishbal and Safi Jiva. Now for Chara Ishbal, first and foremost, it's really difficult for me to create any form of subspecies or variant in terms of concept for this monster because of how unique Capcom designed this monster. In terms of overall uniqueness in comparison to the rest of the cast of monsters in this game, Chara Ishbal is the most unique as of right now. It doesn't use any elemental capabilities. What it does is it uses air, high pressure air at that, and then churns the earth to benefit itself. So at this point, Chara Ishbal can technically become a variant of itself already once you're actually fighting it. The first variation of Chara Ishbal is the rock, and the second one is the weird Ryuk looking monster. So I'm not really sure what to make of Chara Ishbal at this moment. If you have any ideas at all as to how you can create a variant or subspecies of this monster, do let us know in the comments below because I cannot create one as of right now. Moving on from Chara, we finally have the Safi Jiva itself. Now before we get started, I do consider siege monsters to be the true final bosses of Iceborne and the base game as of right now. So both Kul'Thoroth as well as Safi Jiva I do consider to be the final online bosses of the game. Now in terms of Safi Jiva, I can't really see any subspecies, so not even gonna try. When it comes to a variant, this is awkward because a variant of Safi Jiva is not going to be Safi Jiva's variant, it's going to be Xeno'jiiva's variant. And the reason for this is because a variant of this monster is going to be the halfway point between Xeno'jiiva and Safi Jiva, similar to how Chaotic Gormagala works. So from my personal perspective, that is a Xeno'jiiva variant, not a Safi Jiva variant. Now having said all of this, I can't help but think that Capcom is gonna slowly transition this monster into a potential Black Dragon for the 5th generation. Now I know many people are thinking that can't possibly happen, but hear me out. When it comes to the Arch-Tempered state of Cove Taroth in the base game, we had the Fury Invoke state for that particular monster, which is like a bonus state that you can do in order to get more rewards. In Monster Hunter World Iceborne as of right now, Safi Jiva can go up to Super Critical state as being the final phase of this particular monster, and it can turn it on and off. However, what are they gonna add when it comes to the Arch-Tempered state of Safi Jiva itself? I can't help but think that they're gonna add something even further than the Super Critical state for Safi Jiva to make it a truly powerful and deadly monster, almost akin to a Black Dragon. So even though I can't see a subspecies or a variant for this monster, I can't help but think that there's a potential for it to become a Black Dragon. I will be making a video on that subject really soon, on theorizing whether or not Safi Jiva can be potentially a Black Dragon, but for the time being, that's all we're gonna get when it comes to the Safi Jiva itself. And that is pretty much it for this video, covering all of the monsters that are new to Iceborne that could potentially have a subspecies or a variant. Most of these are just concept ideas that I'm thinking of as of right now. They are not gonna happen in Iceborne in any way, shape, or form. I am just throwing out some ideas out here as to what we could potentially have in the game itself. If you have any unique ideas at all for these monsters to become subspecies or variants, let us know in the comments below what kind of ideas you have for these monsters when creating a certain variation of them. Now that is pretty much it for me for this video. If you enjoyed these videos, please consider leaving a like on the video itself and subscribing to the channel, as well as hitting that bell icon so you can go ahead and catch up on any future Monster Hunter content that I might be doing or any other games that I might be playing in future. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this video, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Onward and upward.